I like what you did there.
How unbelievable was that? I was just literally gripping the edge of my couch the entire
So,
movie.
so I watched it in bed, and I had to take my feet out from under the covers because they were sweating so much. My wife could feel them. She was reading a book, and like I had my AirPods in and I was watching it, sweating the entire time. I forget the lady's name that they had on the set with Elle Duncan and Seth Rollins, which we'll get into that TV crew. So, Seth actually did it. Let's do it right now. Seth did an okay job. Like, what did you think overall about the three? I like Elle Duncan from her ESPN days, and then, like I said, they had to have a rock climbing expert, and I
Of
wish I
course.
remembered her name. That was on the far right. But what did you think of the broadcast?
Seth just made it very homey because the average watcher knows nothing about climbing, and he really asked the right questions and gave us the right perspective of like, yo, this is crazy. This guy has actually lost his mind. He has kids. He's got a wife. He was pushing the right buttons the entire watch, and it was just I'm just sitting there like, yeah, dude.
No,
I don't know what
you're right.
smearing is. I don't know what any of this is.
You're
Like,
right about that.
like, please go into more detail about all these climbing techniques and stuff. So I thought he nailed it.
And I didn't think about that, and it's rare. We'll call this a sporting event because at multiple times during the broadcast they referred to Alex as a professional athlete, Alex Honnold, who I've been trying to make sure I say his name right. So usually on a sports broadcast, you don't need a person that doesn't know anything about the sport on the broadcast acting as somebody that doesn't know anything. But you're absolutely right. For some reason, Seth not knowing a single thing about rock climbing or just climbing in general really helped the broadcast. This is one of those things where people are tuning into something that they're not used to seeing. Enough with the broadcast, get to the climb. The climb itself, I bet if you asked Alex, like on a scale of 1 to 10, the difficulty of the climb, it's probably like a 6 or something
That's
like
the
that.
number I was
I
gonna
don't
go
know.
for.
Yeah, because it's not the first one. It's not free solo when he's climbing El Capitan or whatever out your way. Obviously, this is much different because not only is the streets filled with people, and he took multiple times to stop and look down and wave at the people. They even interviewed him like halfway up. And he starts climbing up again, and El's like, "No, hold on, I got one more question." And he has to stop his like in the middle of this. I'm like, "What? El, you're gonna legitimately kill a guy."
He really
Go.
did make that entire climb though, like way harder than it needed to be. He could have skipped all the
Oh,
dragons.
really? I see what you're saying. I think
There
that's
were
funny. Yeah, you're
some
right.
sections with like multiple grooves that I was like, bro, just grab it, dude. Just grab it. You're like I can't handle it. Just grab it. And he just decided to take the hardest route up, which I mean, obviously he wants it to be a challenge. He was trying to also put on a little show for everyone. I get it, but still, I'm just like, dude, you've lost your mind.
So the most memorable part of Free Solo, the first public
Hmm.
attempt that Alex has done at this, is the scene where they're asking him, "Do you think about your girlfriend, whoever his girlfriend was at the time, and do you think about her when you're doing these climbs?" And he looks in the camera with a dead face and says, "No, no, I don't. Doesn't cross my mind at all." But so then you could tell that he probably took a lot of crap for that,
Hmm.
because the woman on the broadcast was like, "Yeah, Sani, who, his wife, she was saying she used the word empathy, that gave Alex empathy, and I think that was in direct response to Free Solo. They cut and did a 5-minute interview with the wife
Hmm.
and with Alex at home. Showed he kept saying kids, but I think they only showed one kid. I didn't find his response to the question, "Why are you doing this? You have kids." I don't know. I didn't really find it acceptable. Acceptable is the wrong word. It didn't help the way I felt about him in doing this with a family. The only thing that was comforting was that it might have been so easy, like we were saying, the climb. Maybe the climb wasn't even a 6, maybe it was a 4, and it was just it was just a workout for him, and this is just what he does, obviously. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, I kind of get a certain aspect of it, right? Where like you want to teach your kids that there's going to be obstacles, and as people, if you put your mind to it, you can overcome it. Respectable.
Sure.
You're a professional athlete. I'm sure you have to have a certain edge, a certain mentality to really get to where you are in life. But I'm an average dad. I'm an average viewer. I think you're out of your mind.
Out of your
I would
mind.
never risk anything like that with a kid. And Laura, my wife, is watching next to me, and she goes, Yeah, don't even think about asking me. So that was the other thing, though. I'm like, they asked Sonny multiple times, like, how are you doing? And she kept, obviously, as a wife, you're not going to, like, freak out next to him and psych him out. But, like,
Oh, I know.
she's got to be lying, right? There's no way she's not lying in this whole thing, right?
Through her teeth. Through her teeth. And so one of the last things I want to hit was they interviewed her inside the building, and they watching him climb and seeing the people inside the building videotaping him and looking at him was such a funny visual.
He's like
And
waving, and there's like ads
know.
along the way. You know, some
know.
of the companies that are working in there, they just had ads up on the windows, and you would think they would like not let people in that section of the building, right? Like to distract
I thought
him.
so
I
for
was
sure.
like,
I thought so for
they did
sure.
not plan for this at all.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is it's not like the idea of free soloing is very dangerous to do it in front of people. That was what the whole movie was about. The first one was that you might take a risk when people are watching that you wouldn't take on your own.
But you
Oh,
know what? I'm gonna go out and say they did not give enough props or any props, I don't think, to the cameraman. My
the
eyes
guy that's just
were locked in on him because the first time they did his camera pan, you could tell he was shaking. The camera was literally like shaking
well,
side to side, and I'm sitting there like, bro, you're like 10 feet off the ground at this point. You are terrified of what's about to come ahead of you.
well. See, so I think you had that. You're seeing it right, but slightly wrong. So, I think they mentioned that it was a really good friend of his, like a super experienced climber. So I think he was a bad cameraman. Well, also, I mean, I'm surprised he's not swaying in the wind more. Like, I'm
That
sure it was
too.
quite breezy up there. Like, yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, if you are a climber though, I would feel way more comfortable climbing right next to him than I would on that rope. That rope has to be less secure than, their comfortability on that building at that time.
So you know me, heights are not my thing. We have been in places where we are at legitimate heights and there are ledges, and it's not my thing. So like watching that guy, I've always said that one of the worst jobs in the world for me personally would be the people that clean the windows on those big skyscrapers.
Or there's the people that
Um,
have to change the light bulb at the top of the.
oh my gosh, yeah, any of that stuff, any of that stuff,
But
too much.
yeah, that. But
He lived, he lived. I guess we probably should have said that. Did we bury the lead? Netflix had it on a 10-second delay the whole time. So if he did fall, I'm sure they would have cut it. I'm sure that was their job, was they had the red button that if he starts falling, we got to cut this thing.
but I also want to ask the three announcers. Do they know even now what smearing is? Because I remember they asked the question, explain to the common folks what this is, and the guy goes off with like a 2-minute rant about what it is, and then it was just dead silent for about 20 seconds until Elle was like, "Hey, all right, we got to move on."
The physics behind smearing, I mean, I get it. You're just it's how you're using your force, like you're pushing against it, creating friction, and then trying to like use that to climb yourself up a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
either
your
way,
description
we
didn't
don't-
help at all either. I'm still
Yeah.
with Seth and the rest of the crew.